Guys, and welcome back to another one of my video. But today it's not gonna be the my reaction and review. Today it's gonna be the Barclays Premier League season review, my review. And yes, it's been a quite while since I uploaded my last video, but now I finally got time to do this, and let's get started. So in this video I would be talking about Barclays Premier League in general, and I will be going through each and every team, and I will be talking about them. But at first, let's start with the standings. Now, Leicester City won the league, no doubt. The three teams that got relegated were Newcastle United, Norwich City, and Aston Villa. There was a great fight going on between Manchester City and Manchester United with the Champions League spot. But now I don't think it's quite over, because Manchester United versus AFC Bournemouth game was cancelled, was abandoned, because there was a suspect that a mobile phone was wrapped around a pipe and was kept in one of the toilets, because of which the whole stadium was evacuated, and the match has been scheduled on, I think, 18th May, which is tomorrow. So, and yes, the main upset that was caused in the last match day, that is the 38th match day, was Newcastle United beating Tottenham Hotspur, as a result of which Arsenal finished second and Tottenham finished third. So for this case, I will be going into FIFA, of course on PC, and I will be giving my review on the teams in an alphabetical order. So let's get started. The first team is Arsenal. Now, when we talk about Arsenal, we always start with the summer transfer window. In the summer transfer window, where all the teams were trying to make and improve their squads for the season coming up, whereas Arsenal, not as Arsenal, Arsene Wenger signed only Petr Cech. Mate, come on, man. You've got to sign more. They did not have the brute force up front. They did not have holding midfielders. They did not have a good defense. They only had Petr Cech. And that too, when they got a second chance in the winter transfer window, they still did not sign anyone. So, but still Arsenal finished second. But when we look at the stats and facts, we will think that Arsenal should have gone and won the league. But no, it was a great chance for Arsenal to go and win the league, but this time also they failed. And there has been a speculation for around 2 or 3 months now that many people, who are Arsenal fans, are Wenger out, are supporting the Wenger out, but he'll be staying next season until his contract gets expired. But there are rumors that he will be offered a new contract which will keep him at the Emirates Stadium till 2019. So, after this news, many Arsenal fans have got annoyed, and they are not willing that Arsene Wenger stays at Emirates Stadium till 2019. So, the next team is Aston Villa. Now, if you see the squad of Aston Villa, you'll never in your dreams think that they would finish at the bottom of the league. They finished 20th, man. They lost 27 games. They drew 8 games. They won only 3 games, and they finished with 27 points. That's bullshit. They finished with 17 points. That's bullshit. And I don't see them getting back straight after the next season in the championship, because there are 10 to 15 teams who are better than Aston Villa. And I think it would take a couple of, or 2, 3 or 4 years more for Aston Villa to get back in the Premier League. That's the quality of the team. But I don't think they had such a bad team, because they had good players like Jordan Ayew, brother of Andre Ayew. They had Jestede, they had Micah Richards, they had Agban Lahore, they had Carlos Sanchez, they had Brad Guzan in goal. How the hell did they finish at the bottom of the league? I don't know, man, but they'll take another 3 to 4 years to come back in the Premier League, because championship looks easy, but that's not too easy. Now, the next team is Bournemouth. Now, they've performed really well this season. I know that they had a couple of serious injuries, because of which they were not able to put their strongest lineup in each and every game like the other teams were doing. But still they finished in 16th place. They brought in a couple of good players like Tyrone Mings, they brought in Maximilian Gradel, and if they invest in the squad in this summer too and are able to bring in 3 to 4 more couple of good players, then I think that they are on course for having a great season, and they would beat the current position, which is 16th, and they will be going on to fetch, I think, at least 12th or 13th position. Now, the next team. The next team is the biggest story of the season, and that is Chelsea FC. 12 months ago, they were champions of England. 12 months after, they are finished in 10th place. How's that possible? I don't even know that. Yes, Jose Mourinho got sacked. They were not playing well at the start of the season, but still, defending champions finishing 10th is not a good sign. Look at the team, man. They have Diego Costa, they have Eden Hazard, they have Cesc Fabregas, they have Thibaut Courtois, one of the best goalkeepers in the world. They have Aspilicueta, they have John Terry, one of the best defenders, ex-legend. Sorry, not ex-legend, ex-great player, legend. How are they losing games? How did they finish 10? They have the one of the best holding midfielders in Barclays Premier League, which is Nemanja Matic, and I don't know how did they finish 10th. But Chelsea are very lucky because the entire show was told. The entire show was stolen by Leicester City. Leicester City went on to win the league, because of which the underperforming Chelsea have been saved, because that show has completely overpowered. But if Manchester City, or for example Arsenal or Manchester United had won the league, then everybody would have been behind Chelsea, because Manchester United, Manchester City, Arsenal, if they won the league, it would not have been such special, because you would expect them to win the league. But Leicester City going on to win the league was something special, because of which Chelsea have been saved. But I think that Conte, the new manager who has joined after Jose Mourinho was sacked, is going to improve the team, and I can see Chelsea fighting for the top 4 spot or even the title next season. Now the next team is Crystal Palace. Now they had started quite well. They were 5th or 6th constantly at the starting 3 to 4 months. Not 3 to 4 months. They were, I think, till Christmas period they were at the top 5, 6 or 7th. But after that I don't know what happened, but they shattered down. They finished in 15th place. Now, don't get me wrong, Alan Pardew was not a bad manager. He's a great manager because he made some great signings at the start of the season. He brought in Johan Kabay from PSG, who left Champions League football, and he pursued him to join Crystal Palace. He signed Connor Wickham from Sunderland. Stoke City or Sunderland, I don't remember exactly. He signed Bakary Sako, who has been a great player for them in this season. But still, I don't think how did they finish 15th. But yeah, they have a great squad, and if they invest and get in a couple of good players for next season, I think they will be ready for finishing the 10th, 11th or 12th place, which they deserve. Next team, another team who has not performed as their fans would have expected, is Everton. Roberto Martinez did not have a good season as he used to have in the past 2 to 3 years. He has been sacked. Everton finished, I think, 11th. Yes, they finished 11th. And for Everton to have a good season next year, they have to pursue, or they have to convince the big guns to stay back in the club. For example, Ross Barkley, Romelu Lukaku, John Stones. Now, a club who wants or who can buy Ross Barkley would snap Ross Barkley, and of course Ross Barkley is a great player. Romelu Lukaku is a player who can change the course of the match whenever he wants. He deserves Champions League football. And John Stones, we know that he was heavily linked with Chelsea at the start of the season, but somehow Everton managed to keep him back. But this time it would not be that scenario because Roberto Martinez is not there, and I think it would be De Boer from Ajax coming on to manage them next season. And if they are able to hold on to these 3 big guns, then I think they would be on course to finish in top 8 or at least the Europa League standings. Now next team, of course, Leicester City, who went on to win the league this season. The team was awesome. They did not have a team which had likes of many big players like Fabregas or Rooney or your Kevin De Bruyne, Sterling. No, they had decent players. They had Jamie Vardy, they had Riyad Mahrez, they had N'Golo Kante, they had Wes Morgan, they had Kasper Schmeichel, they had Danny Simpson. They had great players in the team. And of course, the main man behind all the success was Claudio Ranieri, who just joined at the start of the season, and at the end of the season, he's the champion of England. Now, I remember Leicester City fighting for relegation in 2015 April, after which they finished 14th and managed to stay back. And in 2016 April, they were top of the league, and subsequently after that, they won the league. So they are a great example for teams who do not perform well in one season but can come back or bounce back and go on to win the league in whichever league they're playing. So they had a great season. Shout outs to them, but I don't think that this will be repeated in the coming 6 to 7, 8 years, because Leicester City, as the way they have performed, if they continue to perform this way, they are guaranteed Champions League spot in coming few years, but I don't think that they'll go on to win the season next year because many teams are going to be up for it. And let's hope and we wish all the best to them. Now, the next team is Liverpool. Now, the way Liverpool and Brendan Rodgers invested in the squad, I thought that they would at least finish in the top 4. They spent at least 50 to 60 million in the players. They brought in the likes of Christian Benteke, James Milner, Nathaniel Klein. They brought such great players, and then they were horrific. In the first 8 to 10 games they were horrific, after which Brendan Rodgers was sacked. Jurgen Klopp came in to manage Liverpool. When Klopp joined, I thought that Liverpool were gonna make a comeback and would at least finish in the Europa League standings or in the Europa League spot, but no, that wasn't the case, because Liverpool on the day under Klopp would beat anyone. They went on to beat Arsenal, they went on to beat Dortmund in the Europa League semi-finals, and then in the months between and the weeks in between them, they lost games, they drew games which they should have won. But now I think that it's very important for Jurgen Klopp to win the Europa League final, which is, I think, is against Sevilla. And I think it is very important for Liverpool because it will give them the boost. It will give them the boost or the confidence to bounce back. And it's Jurgen Klopp who is in charge of Liverpool now, and I know that he would spend money and he would make his team, because it's not anymore Brendan's team, and he has already signed Joel Matip. So I think if Jurgen Klopp spends his money wisely and brings in the players that he actually needs, then I think that Liverpool will have a great season next year. Now the next team, Manchester City. Now the way they started the season, 6 games, they played 6 games, they won 6, 100 on 100. I thought that this was Manchester City's year. The way they spent the money at the start of the season, they brought in Kevin De Bruyne for I think 51 or 52 million euros. They brought in Raheem Sterling, 45 million euros. They brought in Nicolas Otamendi. They spent like anything and they finished in 4th. But yes, they at least managed to secure Champions League spot for Pep Guardiola, who is coming in next season. And I think that if Manchester City failed to acquire a Champions League spot, then I think Pep Guardiola would not have joined, because imagine Pep Guardiola joining Manchester City and they're in the Euro League. He would have terminated the contract, but no. Manuel Pellegrini, I think he has been a great servant for Manchester City for the past 3 years that he has managed the club. But I feel sorry for him because the fans of Manchester City or the public did not give him a great send-off. After his last game, people left the stands, went out, were leaving, because he did not deserve that. Manuel Pellegrini, he led you to the semi-finals of the Champions League, where yes, you lost to a better team, but that was also in an unhonored fashion, because it was an own goal. He went on to win the Capital One Cup. He qualified you for the Champions League. Of course, it is what Manchester City do every year, but still, it was a great season for Manchester City. Not a great season, but for Pellegrini, it was his last season. I think he performed well. He did very well, irrespective of the send-off that fans gave him. And I know that the Manchester City are going to be a brute force next season, because Pep Guardiola is coming in and he is a man hungry for success. He would want to go on to the final of the Champions League with such sort of a team. He would challenge for the title, and he would also like to get one of the domestic cups, either the FA Cup or the Capital One Cup. And I think they will be thereabouts in the next season. Now, Manchester United. They are currently in 6th position, but I think if they go on to beat AFC Bournemouth tomorrow, then they'll climb up to 5th. But still, they do not get Champions League spot. And I think the squad that they had, they had enough quality to at least get a Champions League spot. First of all, they spent and invested in the team like anything. They brought in the likes of Anthony Martial, Bastian Schweinsteiger, Morgan Schneiderlin. They bought Matteo Darmian. They spent like anything, and the end result is they finished 6th, or for a matter of fact, if tomorrow's game is consulted, they finished 5th. But that's not what Manchester United fans are used to, because at the time of Alex Ferguson, they did not speak anything else but the title, the Champions League, top 2, most probably top 1. But now I'm That means I am not telling that Louis van Gaal is not a great manager. He's a good manager, but it's been twice in 3 years that Manchester United have not got Champions League football. Now they are in the Europa League, but mark my words, Europa League is not easy. Liverpool has gone on to the qualified for the final because they have played like that. Now beating Dortmund in the second leg was a huge task for them, which they accomplished, and that's not easy because Manchester United have a great team. That does not mean they'll go on to win the Europa League. So I think Louis van Gaal, if they keep hold of him, I think they should keep hold of him, and if he invests in his squad wisely and he can bring in 3 to 4 good players, then I think Manchester United will straight away go on to challenge the title next season. Now next team, Newcastle United. Yes, they got relegated, but they played great. But they played great football at the last match, in the last match against Tottenham Hotspur. They were down to 10 men, Tottenham were leading 2-0, and from there on they went on and scored 3 goals and won the match. Now yes, Newcastle United brought in some great players at the start of the season. They signed Alexander Mitrovic, Jorginho Wijnaldum, and in the winter transfer window they strengthened the squad with big guns like Andros Townsend, Jonjo Shelvey, and Rafa Benitez came and took charge of Newcastle United. But the one thing that Newcastle United did wrong was the way they played against Tottenham Hotspur was great. But if they had played the same way against Aston Villa, which they drew 0-0, and if they had won that match, then the scenario would have been completely different. They would have stayed in the Premier League, and I think Rafa Benitez would have secured a great spot in the next season. But no, that wasn't the case. But the Newcastle board have to catch hold of Rafa Benitez and some of their great players like Townsend, Wijnaldum, Mitrovic, Shelvey, and I can see them coming straight back after the next season in the championship because they are way too ahead of the championship, and they will easily cross that barrier, and will again see them in 2018 season. Now next team, it's Norwich City. I don't know much about this club but whenever I see them play, they give their whole heart. They give their whole heart in the playing. They play with great passion, but I don't think that they have the quality to stay back in the Premier League, and that's the reason why they finished 19th and they're again going down. Now Southampton FC. Now Ronald Koeman. It's very important to say that Southampton are a team who have lost many players over the years, but still Ronald Koeman is able to maintain that standard that Southampton had when their older players were still playing for them. They finished 5th this season, and if Manchester United lose, then they'll stay 5th, and if they win the game that is tomorrow, then they'll move down to 6th. But still, it's been a great season for them, which has been overshadowed by the Champions League fight, Champions League competition going on between the two Manchester clubs, Leicester City winning the title, the match between Newcastle and Tottenham Hotspur, the incident that happened at Old Trafford, I think it was. But yes, Southampton had a great season. They've got a great squad with players like Sadio Mane, Graziano Pelle, Shane Long, Dusan Tadic, Virgil van Dijk. They've got a great team, and I think they've got to catch hold of Ronald Koeman, because if he stays and brings in a couple of more players in the summer transfer window and keeps hold of their existing players, then I think that they will be able to get a Champions League spot in the coming years. Next team, Stoke City. Now Stoke City, Mark Hughes. He did a great job this season. They did not have a bad season. They had a good season as they finished 9th. But yes, they could have done a lot better because they lost games which they shouldn't have lost. But still, they have a great side. They have Marko Arnautovic on the left, Mame Diou for up front, Xherdan Shaqiri, you've got Imbula, you've got Jack Butland, the best goalkeeper after De Gea in the Premier League this season. I think Stoke City will have a good season next year. And let's see. Then Sunderland. Sunderland have just avoided relegation this season. Now Sam Allardyce was quite lucky that his team did not go down, because if they went down, Sam Allardyce would have lost his job. And it was this close. Because Newcastle finished in 18th place with 37 points, and Sunderland finished in 17th place with 39 points. So, and that was only possible because of Jermaine Defoe up front. He played really well. They have one guy called El Khazri on the left hand side who played well too. They have Kone in defense. They have a decent team, and I think they will survive as long as they can maintain the quality of the squad. They will survive and will be in the Premier League for the coming 5 to 6 or 10 years. Now, Swansea City. The way Swansea City started their campaign, I thought that they will finish at least in the top 8 or top 10, but they went on to finish, I think they finished in 12th place. Now Gary Monk was sacked because of his bad performances. The way Andre Ayew, Bafetimbi Gomes, Jefferson Montero, the way they were playing at the start of the season, it was unbelievable, because they beat Manchester United at Old Trafford, they beat Arsenal, but they finished 12th at the end, because at the end things went wrong for them. But I think that if they continue to do what they did this season, and if they maintain the quality of the squad, then I can see them playing in the Premier League for the next 15 to 20 years. Tottenham Hotspur, another team who should have won the Premier League, but Leicester City again overshadowed the team, because Tottenham Hotspur played brilliantly this season. At a point, there was an instance in the league where it was 33 or 32 games in, and their Tottenham Hotspur was still had a slightest of the chances to win the league, but at the end they faltered at the very last hurdle, because it was Newcastle United who defeated them, because of which Arsenal finished second and Tottenham finished third. Now Mauricio Pochettino did a great job this season, and I think if Tottenham catch hold of him, they will catch hold of him. And if he can invest in his squad, which is already a great squad, with the likes of Harry Kane, Alderweireld, Kyle Walker, Christian Eriksen, Eric Lamela, Heung-min Song, they have great players, and if they can bring in a couple of more good players, then I think they will again be challenging for the title next year. Now Watford's season has been only the Troy Deeney and the Odion Ighalo show up front, because that is what made Watford stay in Barclays Premier League, most importantly, and they finished 13th. Now for a team playing its first season in the BPL after getting promoted from the Championship and finishing 13th, it is very good. I think the manager Flores, if he can invest in his squad, bring a couple of good players, then I think he will again survive next season, and I can see him again getting the similar sort of ranking that he got this time, 13th or 12th. And let's see what happens. West Bromwich Albion. Now West Bromwich Albion, I don't know much about this club, but I know that it's a great side. Tony Pulis, I think he lost his job. I'm not sure what happened, but West Brom finished 14th. They have Solomon Rondon up front, Saido Berahino, Julian Lescott. They have a great side, and I can see them staying in the Premier League in the next 2 to 3, 5 to 6 years more. West Ham United, they were the main comeback team this season, because the way Slaven Bilic managed West Ham, and they have finished 6th. Mark my words, they have finished 6th. No one, even the West Ham fans, did not think that they would gonna have this good season that they just saw. And the main hero was Dimitri Payet. They had a great side. They had Andy Carroll up front, they had Emenike on from loan, they had Dimitri Payet, of course, Manuel Lanzini, Antonio, Sam Byram, Adrian, Winston Reid, Mark Noble, Chiki Koyate. They had a great team, and they finished in the Europa League squad, but I think that they could have done better than this, because they faltered in the later stage of the game of the season. They lost games that they should have won, they drew games that they should have won, but the turning point was their win against Manchester United at Upton Park, which is 3-2, and yes, they are getting a new stadium next season, so it would mean that it brings luck to the team. They are leaving Upton Park or the Bowling Ground, they are going to Olympic Stadium. So I think that I don't think they need to catch hold of Slaven Bilic, because he managed the side very well this season. Dimitri Payet, they need to catch hold of Dimitri Payet, because he has been, or not has been, but will be linked to many big clubs in the coming summer transfer window. And I think that the way West Ham United have performed this season, if they continue to perform like that, if they can sign a couple of more good players like Dimitri Payet, which proved to be very good for them, and if they do what they did, and if they are at the best, then I can see them getting a Champions League spot in the coming seasons or even in the next season. So guys, that's all the teams done. And in general, in this Premier League, we have seen many coaches getting sacked like Brendan Rodgers, Jose Mourinho, Gary Monk, and this is the reason why we love Premier League, because it's not like La Liga where only Real Madrid, Barcelona or Atletico Madrid keep on winning the titles. It's not like Bundesliga where Bayern Munich have a clean sweep of 5 consecutive Bundesliga titles. It's not like League 1 where only PSG single-handedly sweeps all of them. It's not like Serie A where Juventus, AC Milan and 2 more clubs keep on fighting. It's a very different, completely different thing from other leagues, because Leicester City, if the Leicester City can win the league, anything can happen. So guys, that was my review on the BPL, on the Barclays Premier League, my season review. And please smash a thumbs up if you're enjoying my videos. Stay tuned, because I will be uploading the reaction and review video, which is the Manchester United and the Crystal Palace FA Cup final, and the big one, which is UEFA Champions League final, also around the corner, Atletico Madrid versus Real Madrid. Please be around, and please subscribe if you're liking my content. The link to my channel is down below in the description. And that's it guys from me, and until next time, goodbye.